literally 29 degrees earlier on. I still think there's plenty of today left to be able to get up to my 31 prediction. Friday, December the 13th, and it is Black Friday. Not only Black Friday, it's the very last day that my co-host and I do the breakfast show, which we have done. And, of course, coincidentally, the very last interview of the year. And we're going to be joined by singer, songwriter, musician, producer, guitarist, and painter. I got a house he can do. I'll talk to him about that. Jason Mapes coming out of Nashville. And, well, you should know by now, today's feature artist being Jason Mapes. You're right here at Galaxy.
Yeah,
So, of course, we've got a couple of minutes and then we can go live to air.
Sure.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Chris.
And Jimmy.
I would
Hi, Ryan.
just let you know we have 5,502,000
next
online
year.
right now.
This is our last for today.
Nice.
We've booked up
Yeah.
for January.
Yeah, it's about an average hour,
Talk to
actually.
me
Yeah,
later
it
about
really
it.
is. We've been doing this for about 5.5 years now, and we seem to get the friends of people that we interview, and before you know it, they're telling two friends, and well, we've managed over the last 12 months or so now to be up in the 5 million range. 64 countries, Barbara?
Yes.
And 62 cities, 62 countries and 94 cities.
You said it back to front.
Yeah, I did say it back to front, I'm sorry. Because, we live. We
Yes,
are
we
live.
are live. Hi, Pierre from Norway. Nice that you've joined us.
Now, this is
Viking Queen.
Viking Queen that's going to be joining us, the very first interview next year. Gear is joining us right now. Welcome along, and I am so looking forward to doing an interview with you. Today, we have an absolute genius. Couldn't think of a better way to wind up 2019, coming into 2K20 with, of course, Jason Mapes from Nashville. And no, not country. Not country at all. But singer, songwriter, musician, producer, guitarist, and painter. And I'm going to talk to him about all of that very, very shortly right now. Didn't Want To is playing right here at Galaxy. Please meet Jason Mapes. So you're being filmed right now, my friend. Do something really stupid.
Wow.
Hey.
I do that all the time. It's hard for me to bring it up on cue.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Stupid. I'm always doing something stupid.
Tell me
When
about
you
your
say something
necklace.
normal-
Tell me about your necklace. That is really cool.
Oh, that's I actually, this is the Prince emblem, of the artist formerly known as when he was going by that. But I got that at Paisley Park at his studio and home. I went up there and took a tour of the place, and they actually had it as a keychain, and I thought it would make a better necklace.
Well, absolutely. And yes, I did recognise the symbol. I really, really did. Sign, formerly known as Prince. He had a rather strange demise, that young man, didn't he?
Well, I think, it's part of that whole epidemic that we've got in the United States when it comes to opiates and painkillers and things like that. And he was hooked on them, and they eventually became his undoing.
Yeah, absolutely. And believe me, it's sad to be in that position. It really, really is. Believe me.
It is. But, pain is a hard thing for people to live with, too. And so, that's, yeah. I mean, I can understand the desire to try to put that away somewhere. But, it's powerful stuff.
It is.
So.
It really is. And believe me, I'm rather hesitant about the 5 questions of the 50 Shades of
Well,
Grey.
there you go. Well, don't forget
Believe me, be shocked, be prepared.
don't
It
forget
might come up,
Jason
actually.
has
There's
done
a bit of
DJ.
humour involved in this interview. It'll be like none you've ever done before, or will ever want to do again. I got to be honest with you.
He's
So
a radio DJ. Watch it.
let's go to the desk. I just
Hi,
gotta find
Gear.
the right
Hi,
plug. There it
Sheree.
is.
Oh, you got your
Hi,
gear on.
Ryan. Hi, Chris Andres. Oh, we said that before, but let's say hi again. Our last show for the year with Jason Mapes from Nashville.
That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, 12 after 11 o'clock, 24 degrees downtown. It is hot in here, I got to be honest with you. It is very, very stifling, if that's a word. Friday, December the 13th is Black Friday, and well, our victim today being Jason Mapes, coming out of Nashville. Now, Jason, you're not country, are you?
No, not at all.
That's like a friend of mine that comes out of Chicago. He is country, not blues.
Not blues, yes.
You know, so I absolutely love this fact that we swim against the tide in every which way. And today we have the epitome, literally, of swimming against the tide with such a professional as Jason Mapes. Now, Jason, gotta thank you. I am elated to be able to do an interview with you. And I got to be up. Straight up, it's not easy getting an interview here at Galaxy. It really isn't. Barbara has worked off her feet daily, and she takes what she gets to production. And Barbara sort of sifted down to maybe 2 or 3 a week. Then it's got to go and be passed by a board. They are considering, of course, our image. They want to make sure it's good stuff. So we only play the good stuff here. Then it's given to me on a USB thing. I put it in with my phone and go driving. That way, nobody can influence my decision whether or not I want to do the interview, if you can understand that. But really, nobody else wants to drive with me. That's the truth. But I had this in mind because, believe me, we had a number of bands we had in mind for the very, very last show. And I passed them all because I heard your music, and I just had to do this, Jason. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Now, you're an accomplished musician and also a producer, a singer, a songwriter, and you paint. I've seen some of your paintings.
I do paint when I have some downtime where I can actually just sit back and do something freeform. I'm not a schooled painter by any means. I had no formal training with it. It's just something that I started picking up on my own, and trial and error. I would paint something, and if I didn't like it, then I would just white out the canvas and start over or whatever. It was just something that I picked up on my own and just do it in my spare time when I have that inspiration, I guess.
Absolutely. I think it's a wonderful craft. I really, really do. And at the same time, very therapeutic sometimes. I've seen the Harbour Bridge one that you've done. I like that.
Yeah, that seems to be the one that everybody gravitates to. There's something kind of a classic feel about it. People see a little bit of like Starry Night or some other classic influence to it. Not that it's near that quality, but I think they see what I was drawing from and the inspiration for it. But it's actually a picture of a bridge from my home state of Michigan, where I'm originally from. So. Oh,
okay. I thought it was the San Fran, for instance.
It's the bridge that joins the peninsulas of Michigan.
Absolutely, gotcha. I really, really do. Now, at the same time, wonderful, wonderful painting. We played Didn't Want To. Now, tell me a little bit about Didn't Want To. How did you come to the lyrics of that?
Well, much like many artists, there's a little bit of real life in that one. That was inspired by a breakup I had. It was one of those, though, that the song, what I find about it is that people hear the title and you kind of hear some of the lyrics and people think that it's kind of one of those, bitter or sad breakup kind of things. But it's actually, to me, I think it's kind of the victory dance that basically says, hey, this isn't what I pictured it was going to be, and I'm gonna pick up the pieces and I'm going on. I'm moving on with my life. I didn't want to do it. That wasn't my intent. I think whenever we enter a relationship, our intent is that the relationship will be successful. Otherwise, why would we do it to begin with? We're hoping something good will come from it. But that doesn't always happen. Two people aren't always on the same path. And I think that that's what the song really is about. It's like, look, when it started, I didn't want this to end, but it is, and I'm picking up the pieces and moving on. That's where that song came from.
I fully understand. In fact, halfway through that, I asked the wife, are you listening? You know, yeah, we want to get into a relationship forever, if you know what I mean. And really, I just don't understand why she chose me to be her husband in the first place. That's bad news. It really is. But good for me. I love that. Now, at the same time, let's have a little understanding of where we're at right now. This is your own private studio that you're broadcasting from right now. And nice toys. I got to be honest with you. I'm kind of salivating sitting here having a look at this because, believe me, I'm an engineer myself. I can see use for everything there. I really, really can. Years and years of collecting by the looks.
What was that again?
Years of collecting by the looks.
Well, you know, there certainly is. There's some of that in there. I don't have a lot of classic guitars. I have one that everybody is really jealous of. I have a Les Paul. It's a 77 Les Paul Artisan, which is a rare guitar to begin with because the Artisan wasn't as majorly produced by Gibson as some of the other models. And every time people see that, it's such a beautiful guitar. It's got a natural curly maple wood grain on it that it's just really beautiful. And I don't take it out very often, but whenever I played it out at shows, all the guitar players are like, "Ooh, tell me about that one."
Yeah, I believe you. I do.
Yeah, and it never leaves my sight. It never leaves my sight.
Yep.
I would never. I don't trust that with anybody.
Well, give it its own security team. Believe me, it sounds like it needs it. Love Again. Tell me about Love Again, because believe me, this was one of the very first songs I think I've heard of yours, and thought, you know, this is absolutely stunning work. Now, as an engineer, I can't fault this. Tell me all about it.
Okay, that was actually the first song that was written for this CD. I came from the band environment. I had been the lead guitar player in a band that we had put out 3 CDs and did some touring for those. And when I went solo, that was the first song that I wrote. It was one of those that it started with just an acoustic guitar. I remember when I kind of wrote the little riff that's the predominant riff in the verses of that song. It just had a nice little bounce to it, but the chords were minor, which is one of those things that when you're listening to minor chords, you're kind of thinking, you know, minor chords and happy lyrics don't go together very well. So it's definitely has some of those lyrics are a little more on that other side of it, where it's like, you know, things aren't the greatest kind of thing. But again, I think it's one of those songs where I tried to twist the lyrics a little bit, that it's a positive spin on it.
You know, I get that. I really, really do. Now, rather confused, say, my friend, before we play Love Again, Jonah Brockman is your drummer for the studio, but you had Rob Johnson for drums. Tell me the relationship there.
Well, actually, Rob only played on one track of the album, but he actually was the drummer in my very first band when I was a kid. And he and I have been friends forever. It's one of those lifelong friendships. I actually was just talking to him yesterday for about an hour. We catch up all the time. He doesn't live here in Tennessee. He lives back in Michigan. But we still stay in touch like we did when we were in high school. You know, he's one of those lifelong friends that when you meet somebody like that, you say, you know what, I'm keeping this guy in my circle. He's not going anywhere. And he's just one of those friends that's always there for you. And when I did this record, I wanted to include a lot of the people that not only were fabulous musicians, but people that meant something to me personally, too.
Yeah, I absolutely get that. But then you throw in Dan as well. Spoiled for choice?
Dan was he was the drummer actually on Love Again, and Dan was very instrumental in me actually moving to Nashville. He had co-produced and engineered my previous band's CDs that we had recorded in Nashville. The band was based out of Michigan, but we recorded all 3 of our CDs in Nashville, and we worked with Dan, and we also worked with producer Bo Hill, who was the producer for Rat, and Warrant, and Winger, and Alice Cooper, and several of those bands. But Dan was like the engineer on all 3 CDs, and a really good friend of mine, and he was instrumental in me moving here, and he ended up doing drums on 2 of the songs of the album.
You know, I get that too, and I've got to let you know, in your influences here being Aerosmith, Kiss, Alice Cooper, Bon Jovi, Paul Stanley, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Richie Sambora. Of course, Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora go together. I've actually worked with them in Sydney. Def Leppard worked with them here in New Zealand, and of course we did a Bon Jovi once here in New Zealand as well. But believe me, you have some absolutely stunning influences. We will cover those first a little later as we go down through this. But first of all, here is Jason Mapes live with Love Again, right here at Galaxy. Starting to warm up, Barbara. It really is. Let's just see if... there we go. How you feeling there, Jason? You okay?
I'm great.
Nice.
You hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey
we
Dave
can.
from Dakota Pearl. See you next year.
Dakota Pearl?
Yeah.
Really cool band, Dakota Pearl. I am so looking forward to interviewing these guys. I really am. As I said, Jason, you may need a drink halfway through this. A little stronger than water by the time we're through. I'm pretty sure of that. So, I'm going to ask you a fan question. This comes up every interview because it's what the fans want to know. Is how we get hold of you. Can we get hold of you? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram? Stuff like that, if you know what I mean. So I'll ask you that. Also about websites, merch, stores. You know, I try to direct... Listen, people, please. I try to direct everybody to go to buy your products because it really is not easy being an artist. You need some funds. So we try and get down that road, if you know what I mean. Thank you for listening to me and with your patience on that one because it is important. It really is. So we'll ask questions like that and possibly 5 questions from the 50 Shades of Grant. Be scared about that. That's really weird. It is. Well, and then I've got Darth Vader over here wandering around. You know, she's got this thing on the end of a stick. It's a hard hat area.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. You see what I mean? It just appears. You know. And I'm on the danger side of it. At least you got the pleasure of watching this flash by every now and again. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
You have to think there's at least a couple people that are probably tuning in just for that. Oh, look, he got clipped.
Exactly. And, well, of course, I might ask you if you've got any T-shirts or anything like that because product placement, well, I don't think we do too much product placement. Do you? Do you think we would do too much product placement here? You know, because I'm pretty sure that sooner or later the message gets through to people that we actually do support, and this is a New Zealand band, Boom Boom Deluxe. Check these guys out, hottest rock and roll band, and I'm talking old school rock and roll, best since Tommy Sharplin actually, here at Galaxy. So if you ever feel like you want to send us something that we could do competitions and giveaways, look at this, here's the cute value. Somebody's throwing in a cute factor. What's her name?
That's Gracie.
Oh, hang on.
That's Gracie.
That's Gracie. Come on, pay some attention to me.
You believe me, I've got a couple of bigger ones about, 50 times size of that. That want the same thing right now. They're roaming around the property
Oops,
where we're at.
Got it then.
They're our security team. Let's go back to the desk.
Time. We love Norway, gear. Of course, everywhere else. Thanks for joining us.
That's right, you're right, here at Galaxy 107 FM. You wouldn't think that I'm over promoting things, would you?
Yep.
Yeah, you would apparently. It's 26 after 11 o'clock, 27 degrees. Barbara's winning right now. She's looking at 29 degrees. I said 31. So, yeah, I think she's comfortably going to get this one. Friday, Black Friday. It is December 13th, and I'm joined by what I think is going to be future legend in the game, Jason Mapes, coming straight out of Nashville. Music City, but it's not country. No. How would you describe yourself?
In like one word, happy.
No, I mean, as far as your music goes, what genre would we slot you into? Because, you know, our production team had a little problem with this. They couldn't put you into modern rock. Well, they did, but then they couldn't leave you out of blues, and then, well, they put you in there as well. Then they said, maybe, you know, there's some parts of it there, there's a little touch of country somewhere, and they put you in there as well. Besides being in the Galaxy Artist, which plays on a Monday night, because we knew we were going to do an interview. So basically, we decided to put Jason Mapes in a blender, press play, and you pretty much get into every show.
Nice. Just say, all right, he's part of everything.
That's what I mean. You know, you're right there. We couldn't categorize your music and just put it into one file. We felt that we needed to share this around, give you more chance of being played here at Galaxy on many shows, and believe me, we're very, very honoured to be able to do that with you. Your work is superb. It really, really is.
Thank you.
Having said that, Jason, how do we get hold of you? Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Instagram? But more importantly, Jason, being today's modern database for your fan clubs and stuff like that, do you respond?
I do actually. Yeah, I'm on all the different platforms. The easiest way to find them is if you go to my website, which is just jasonmapes.com. It has all the links for Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that. And I try to log on as often as I can to respond to comments and tweets and things like that as often as possible. I feel that it's important to interact for many reasons. One, I like hearing what people think. I may not always agree with it, but I still like to hear what people think. You know, that's kind of the part of the game, is that first and foremost, any artist, I don't care who it is, they can lie to you and say something other than this, but any artist does music that they like. They do what they like, and they hope you like it, but we wouldn't put it out. I wouldn't put it out on a record if I didn't think it was great. You know, there are kids, and of course, everybody thinks their kid is the most beautiful kid in the world, and they're the smartest kid in the world and all that, and we know that they not are always that the smartest, most beautiful kid. Well, we think that, and people will think, you like to hear nice things, but people will say things that maybe aren't as nice, but I still like to hear it. I still like to hear what people think, because they might have a valid point some of the time, and some of the time it's just opinion. You can't always place that, but I think interaction's great for that.
You know, believe me, criticism is something that we make us stronger, if you know what I mean. If we, but we don't dwell on all the bad stuff and all the good stuff, if you know what I mean. We sort of jumble it up and become a better person once we understand what people want, and we've actually tried to fit that bill here at Galaxy. So I understand where you're coming from. I really, really do. I love the downside of this as much as I love the up, and believe me, we have a fair balance of both sometimes. We really, really do. Now, at the same time, I want to ask you about your website. Do you have a merch store on there? Can people come and buy product from you?
There's ways to purchase at the website itself, but it also has the links for the different platforms that are available. Like if somebody wants to get their music off of iTunes or Yandex or KKBox or wherever, Google, Apple, Amazon, all the different platforms, all the links are there. The physical CDs, which, you know, that's more of a rare item these days, but you can get those through the website, or you can also get them through CD Baby, which ships internationally. That's also a platform for that. Yeah, the website's pretty loaded with all the different links and ways to to interact. There's links to the stores to get T-shirts and mugs and stickers and.
You know something?
There was something on there that was really. There was something on there I thought that was really off the wall. Oh, you can get a shower curtain. You get a shower curtain.
Now that's original. That's original.
I was actually thinking of getting one for myself. Just because really, a shower curtain? I should get one of these.
Yeah, absolutely. And believe me, I'm going to say to you, I know what it's like to get strange things from time to time given to me. Now, I did an interview with these guys just a couple of days ago, and would you believe, next day in the post, I get myself a brand new T-shirt, and I don't think it's too much product placement. No, not at all. Have a look. But, my friend, if you would like to send me some CDs, maybe a T-shirt, maybe a shower curtain, I'd be happy to wear. I don't know about wearing the shower curtain on air, but we would be happy to be able to promote you as much as possible and get it, out there.
Absolutely.
As much. So,
we'll set you up.
Nice, because believe me, everybody wants to go and have a look. They really, really do. Before you know it, you've sold another 5,000 shirts, and I feel sorry for you for that. I really do. But more importantly, I feel sorry for the 10,000 people that are going to contact you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything. You're going to be busy now. You're really going to be busy.
Hey, this is a business where you like to be busy.
Exactly. Now, you're coming into the winter period over there, I presume. Is it a good time to be sitting down doing more writing and recording?
I will tell you that I'm one of those people that I actually have to schedule it. I will say, for example, on Sunday coming up, I don't have anything to do at all, so Sunday will probably be a writing day for me.
Okay, that's efficient,
so I will sit there and say, okay, I'm going to work on something. I will, pick up either pieces of things that I kind of write, like, do you know what a magpie bird is over there?
Yep. Yeah, we do.
I write like a magpie, where it's like I kind of just grab little pieces of things and I build this little nest out of it, and that's pretty much my writing style, because I'll write a chorus, and then I don't have anything else to go with it for whatever time it takes. But I will always come back to it. And I think you said you were playing the song "The X-Files."
Yes.
We'll talk about that one, because that one took 10 years.
So it's recent then.
It was overtime. It was overtime that it wrote. Now I'll give you the synopsis of that when we're up to that song. So,
okay. Now, then this is a good segue actually. If you write like that, she's hot, but she's not as hot as she thinks. Now this is interesting.
I always like to write songs that have, I guess, I'll call them rolling riffs. I like this, like Aerosmith's "Same Old Song and Dance," where you have that and I like to have songs that have that kind of a riff, at least one or two, something that's got that, where it's a real blues kind of twos and fours, and that song was really fun to write, because I wanted to write lyrics that were open to interpretation, but once you figured out what the song was really about, then they're kind of funny. It's like you just take it that way and go. And I had a couple of guests on that CD that meant a lot to me personally. When I was growing up, there was a guitar player out of my hometown. My hometown is actually a dual city between the U.S. and Canada. I'm from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, but there's a Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and they're basically it's two separate cities, but they're really one community.
So you're a hybrid.
I am. I grew up on the Canadian border, and I was influenced by all this Canadian music, like Loverboy and Bryan Adams and all those bands that came out of Canada. Well, another band out of there was a band called Streetheart, and Jeff was a hometown boy that got picked by this band to be the guitar player. And for all of us kids that were, growing up, we're all like, "Oh, Jeff, he's in Streetheart now." We were all impressed by that. And he's such a wonderful human being and a great guitar player. And I asked him if he would play on one of my songs, and this is the song I wanted him to play on. And he ended up doing that harmony lead guitar that you're going to hear that sounds almost like Brian May. It's got almost a Queen vibe to it, and it took the song to a completely different place. On the CD, I actually put the original demo version that was me playing the lead, and you can hear the differences where the song went with Jeff, and I put it on there for two reasons. I had a friend of mine said, he says, I like the fact that one's a little bit more AC/DC sounding. He said, but I love what Jeff did with it. He said, why don't we put both, it was Jonah. He said, why don't we put both versions on there? And I said, okay, sounds good to me. We did that. And it's a duet, and I asked Brian Vollmer, who is the lead vocalist of the hard rock band Helix that I grew up listening to, and I asked him if he would sing on it, and he agreed, and it was a fun duet that I did with Brian. So.
It's a winner here at Galaxy. It really, really is. We love this track. We really, really do. So, live right here at Galaxy 107 FM is Jason Mapes, and she's hot, but she's not as hot as she thinks. Love the title. Love that title. How you feeling? You need that drink here?
I've been I've been tapping.
Nice. So
Hi Mandy. Hi Stained Glass.
Nice. Welcome along. Thank you for joining us this morning here in New Zealand. I'm not sure whether you're from New Zealand or around the world, but enjoy your day. It's top of the day. Absolutely. And we're joined by Jason Mapes coming out of Music City, Nashville. And love
this little cute
this.
doggy.
Look at that. There's the cute factory again. I'm sorry,
Cute.
Jason, you're going to have women calling you from all around the world now.
This is the woman of the house.
Yeah, I got a couple like that. I do. So The Devil Plays Guitar. I want to talk about the album itself and the inspiration of why you called it that, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So we'll cover that, and at the same time, of course, we're going to end with that particular track, so we won't delve too much into it. It's just that I want to acknowledge that what we're listening to, some of the music is actually off that album, and great album. Check it out, literally. Follow my words, check it out. But the next one we have up is Sorry You Feel That Way.
Okay.
Now, I've got to be honest with you, The Devil Plays Guitar was the very first song I heard of yours, and I only got to hear the other ones just yesterday, to be straight up with you, because I think they only got them in either the day before or yesterday or something like that. But it was because I knew that there was new stuff coming in, and I'd only heard the one song. That was the pinnacle of what made me want to do this interview. It really was. So that was your hook, was The Devil. It really was. But as I say to you, I go driving and I listen to the music in my car, and it basically makes me decide whether I want to do the interview or not. I literally pulled over, opened up the car speakers, tuned up the speakers themselves, and just enjoyed myself on the side of the road listening to your music. It was awesome. Let's go back to the desk. That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, joined live by Jason Mapes, coming out of Nashville, and believe me, she's hot, but not as hot as she thinks. I absolutely love that title, I really, really do. Now, Jason, I see in your influences Paul Stanley. Now, little story for you was just 2 days ago I interviewed a guy called Tim Steinrich from the Mighty One band, and he got his start way back in the day where he actually had Paul Stanley get in touch with him, fly him to their studios and do some recording in there. Got treated like royalty. The work never got released.
That happens. That happens where albums that get recorded and they don't get released for whatever reason. Sometimes record labels back out. Sometimes they change their mind because the market changes. You know, there were a lot of records that were recorded at the end of the 80s, early 90s that were like hairband records that when everything shifted to grunge that they weren't released, or they, you know, maybe got delayed for 5 or 7 years or whatever, and then they finally saw the light of day. And a lot of albums happen like that.
Well,
even Kiss had one. Kiss had the one they recorded called Carnival of Souls that was recorded, I want to say, somewhere around 93, 94, and it didn't get released until probably about 2000.
Yeah, that would be about right. Yeah, absolutely. And I totally understand that. I really, really do. Yes, grunge was a part of the reason why it didn't actually hit the scene, if you know what I mean. But at the same time, I got to be straight up with you. The honesty of Tim was just immense. He says, you know, to be straight up with you, Grant, the singer didn't quite cut it. And it just was, well, below average. And you could still see to this day how he felt about that as he was explaining it to me, his whole body language, everything like that. I felt for him very, very deeply. But at the same time, he says, you know, had an absolute blast on Paul Stanley. We had to make the most of that, as you would. Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? You really would.
It's all about the moments that we have, you know. It's sometimes things don't work out the way that you planned, but that doesn't mean you can't, you know, enjoy the ride that it took you there.
Exactly. And being an engineer, I can understand where he was coming from and the disappointment as he was explaining it to me. So I also see you got Doherty on your influences. Love Doherty. That's a good choice.
Yeah. I've been listening to really, I want to say, almost everything my whole life. The only thing I really don't have a lot of creeping in my influences, I don't have a lot of country in there. My dad loved it, but I never found a connection with that.
You know, I understand that. I've got to be straight up, and I may be saying that a little too many times, but it wasn't until we actually started doing these interviews that we got more and more country, not only from Nashville and from Canada and places like that, but Australia as well, England as well. We seem to, at one stage there, be doing nothing but country, where I kind of am a blues kind of guy. I'm a rock guy. I love alternative music as a DJ, and you would be able to understand this, my friend. You can't really have a favourite. You've got to have an open mind about a lot of stuff.
I think so. I think you have to, if you want to, I mean, I suppose whatever turns you on, turns you on. I'm not going to tell somebody that they don't, you know, like or don't like whatever they want, but I think that the more open-minded you are to at least the experience. I'm not a real heavy rock fan, but when I see, maybe the opening band for Alice Cooper was a little heavier than I would have picked myself, but I will still try to see if there's something about this that I'm going to enjoy. You know, that sort of thing.
Yep, absolutely, I get that. And we are going to be interviewing a band, not sure whether you'd be familiar with them, called Station. Now, they open up for a band called Autograph that we did an interview with just a few weeks ago. So we're looking forward to meeting Station. And believe me, this is the kind of music I absolutely love. They sort of fit into that missing, I don't know, would you call it a missing 80s, 90s kind of feel? Like, we no longer really go to stuff like ZZ Top here in New Zealand or Pink Floyd, AC/DC. They're all getting too old, and we're missing something that's going to slot in there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I think Station, for instance, is a good example of that, and we have a number of others that we're going to be interviewing straight off the bat next year, which I think do fit that missing genre set. Literally, it is now given me a lot of confidence that that's going to carry on. we need young folks to be able to fill that gap.
And it happens because you look around and there's all of a sudden there's some young kids that are picking up a sound that's really close to Led Zeppelin, or they're picking up something that's maybe a little bit closer to. I saw a young band the other day that they were playing songs that sounded really close to early Metallica, and you think, well, it does come around. It is circular in a way, and it may never be as big as it was, but it still lives. It's still there.
Exactly, and there's the Greta Van Fleets out there, for instance, that are making big waves around the world these days. Strongly sounding like the back in the day Led Zepp, as you said. But believe me, there's absolutely bands out there that are still being discovered. We're talking to a number of them this year coming up. And believe me, it's very, very exciting to know that these guys are going to be tomorrow's Led Zepps and Deep Purples and Iron Maidens, for instance, and it's good to know that flavour is still around.
Exactly. It always survives, and it might be underground for a while, and it has little times where it maybe bubbles up a little bit more. Obviously there's a big influence that's come in that we never had in rock music for years, that it never had to compete with the popularity of hip-hop and things like that. So I think it used to be a little bit stronger. Now that there's such a wide, diverse selection of music, and the way we obtain our music is so different now.
Absolutely, and the technologies.
And all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. The technologies of today open up the premises for everything to be available for us. Now, where once upon a time, believe me, when I first started radio, literally we used to get everything on records and have it sent in. We had to import a lot of stuff, if you know what I mean. Snail mail. It really, really was shocking. So by the time it hit the charts here in New Zealand, it had gone by. It was old hat around the world. We think we're onto it. Well, technology's moved on, and I think we are today. But tell me about Sorry You Feel That Way.
Sorry You Feel That Way. If I go too long, just like do one of these or something, because it's...
The floor is yours. The floor is yours.
It's actually, there's actually a real story behind it. I had this friend that had another friend that they got very mad at me. And so this was a friend of a friend situation. They were very, very mad at me because they felt that they actually said these words to me. They said, you're too nice to people. You're too nice to people. And I'm like, I'm too nice to people. Like, they weren't telling me I was too nice to people, that people are taking advantage of me. They were telling me that, you don't need to be that nice. And I said, I'm sorry you feel that way. And they got extremely angry because they said, that's not an apology. That's not an apology. You're making it sound like an apology because it's got sorry in there, but you're not sorry. And I said, no, I'm really not sorry. I said, it's an agree to disagree. I don't think I'm too nice to people, and I think that you should be nice to people. I think kindness is the way to go. But because of this anger that they had over that, that phrase, I'm sorry you feel that way, I went on Facebook and I posted something. I said, does this bother anybody else? Is anybody else mad when you hear sorry you feel that way? And like the next day, this was like late at night, and the next day I woke up and there was like 50, 70 responses. And it seemed overwhelmingly divided, that there were people that say, yeah, it makes me mad because they're not sorry. They sound like they're sorry, but they're not. And other people are saying, no, I'm perfectly fine with it. So everybody was all divided over this. Is this a bad thing or a good thing? Well, I actually pulled the lyrics, or actually, if you listen to what I just told you and then you go listen to the lyrics, you'll hear where I'm going, it's not an apology. It's agree to disagree. And all that stuff. And so the lyrics actually came from the conversation that I had with the person who was mad at me, and some of the stuff that we said online. So I pulled the conversation, and the lyrics came from it, and it's all a true story. And it was just something that I thought was funny, and I put it all together. I had this guitar thing that I was working on. It was just an instrumental, and I'm sitting there. This is a really ugly picture I'm going to paint, but I would get up in the morning. I'd be sitting there in my boxers and a cup of coffee, And I grab a guitar, and I'm sitting there, and I've got my computer, and I'm looking at all this stuff on Facebook, and I'm playing my guitar, sitting there, basically, nobody wanted to witness this, but I had this little guitar part that went da la la da da, and in my head, all of a sudden, I heard, "I'm sorry I feel that way," and the song wrote itself in about 5 minutes.
Some of the best songs in the world, and some that have the longevity, are done literally in 5 minutes. They really, really are. I think this really is going to be a classic in the future, my friend. I really, really do. Here at Galaxy 107 FM, live with Jason Mapes. Sorry, you feel that way. Oh, sweating.
Yeah, I won.
You won. You do win. You're a winner, Barb. You're a winner. Look at that. 29 degrees.
It's hot here right now.
It's not,
Hot.
just needs a couple more and I will win. It's not going to happen though, is it? How you feeling, Jason?
It's nice and comfortable here, but it's a lot cooler in Nashville. It's about 10 right now.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what. 95 degrees Fahrenheit in this office.
Yeah. It's in here. It is probably at 68.
Okay. Well, I would rather have your 68 and some air conditioning. We don't got none. We got little fans, literally. I don't know whether you can see that. But
Yeah, and Grant loves the heat in the winter.
I can see that.
yeah, tiny little bloody fans.
That thing up in the corner, right up there, that's like the white frame, that's actually air conditioning that gets blown in from out of this room. Otherwise, it's a padded room.
Right.
But the air conditioning unit is outside the room, so you don't hear it in here.
Nice.
It's quiet for vocals and things like that. So
nice. And believe me, bro, it's nice to meet somebody else they keep in a padded room as well.
Yes, that's what I was saying. I'm in the padded room tonight.
I live in padded rooms. Well, I seem to anyway. So, Jason, the next one we have is the X-Files, and we'll talk about that.
Penny.
But just wondering, I'm going to ask you this on air.
How's
Would
that
you
thing
consider
going
possibly coming down
book for
and playing for us here in New
Callum
Zealand? Would you consider
you
a
guys?
tour?
I would definitely consider a tour. Yeah, I mean it's one of those where the lady who's done my booking for years, we were talking about was there any really booking opportunities with this album, and we're seeing reasonable sales, but we haven't had the live interest yet. So we're still hoping that things are going to kind of just continue to grow and build, and we'll start to get that demand for that. I love to play.
Nice. Well, I'm going to ask you about that, but at the same time, let me tell you, we are going to be playing the hell out of you here at Galaxy, so we'll be able to judge how the requests and everything go. Unfortunately, as I said, we only got a couple of these songs day before yesterday, so it's not long enough to get a decent handle on it yet. But having said that, The Devil Plays Guitar has already got 1,200 requests, which is interesting, since we've been playing it. So, believe me, it's caused an interest, let's put it that way.
Nice.
And
I was going to tell you, the irony of the song that you're playing right now and the one that's coming up is that the one that you're playing is the one that I wrote the quickest, and the one that's coming up is the one that took me the longest.
10 years, 10 years, that's right. I was listening. Hold on, let's go back to the desk. Mark has got this point. Fix that up. That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM. It is 4 away from 12 o'clock, 28 degrees. We've dropped a little bit, but I still think there's plenty of day to go yet, only coming into lunchtime. wait until about 3 o'clock. It'll get hotter, it will. Friday, December 13th, it is Black Friday, the last day that we do interviews here at Galaxy for 2019. And, of course, absolutely elated to be joined live. Coming out of Nashville is Jason Mapes. And, Jason, I was just wondering if you'd be at all interested in maybe coming down here to the Antipodes, playing here for New Zealand audiences, and maybe with a couple of New Zealand bands as well.
I'd love to, absolutely, would love to. It's part of the world I've never seen yet, and I would love to come play. Yeah, absolutely. That's I love to travel and I love to play. So really, it's kind of it's a win-win.
Absolutely it is, and believe me, we think New Zealand is going to absolutely adopt you when you come here, my friend. I really do. Having said that, maybe about 5 shows here in New Zealand, Barbara, what do you reckon? Yeah. And we would probably like to share you with Australia too, only because we like their money. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe about half a dozen shows over there. Yeah, okay, Barbara's giving me the thumbs up. Now, why I say that is Barbara is the manager of Aurora Entertainment, and she takes care of all the logistics, everything you need. We can take care of it here in New Zealand, including stuff like your visas, stuff like that. Better to come from New Zealand and in New Zealand than where you are at the moment, to be honest with you. It makes the wheels go faster. But we would be very, very honoured to have you here in New Zealand and entertaining us. Now, having said that though, Jason, got to admit, we're a little crazy.
Here we go.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, well, us Kiwis are a little bit over the top sometimes. We do a few things, and we do this traditionally with all of the bands that we have come into New Zealand, and so you won't be left out at all, believe me. Have you ever heard of a hoo-hoo club?
I haven't.
Okay, yeah, you'd be familiar with a caterpillar?
Okay, yeah.
This is a caterpillar on steroids. It's like a double-decker bus to a mini.
Oh, okay.
Right, what you do, it's big, it's white. We will send you the instructional videos too, by the way. You expect these. But what you do is you put the live body in your mouth, bite off the head. Don't eat the head, it's yucky. But when you crunch down on this, it's like eating creamy peanut butter.
All right.
And, well, actually, we have a thing here in New Zealand down the South Island. We're made up of 3 islands: Stewart Island, a little island at the bottom, South Island, and then the North Island where we are. And, well, down the middle of the South Island on the west coast, a place called Hokitika, Christmas time. Hokitika. They've got to get that in for the Hokie boys. They have a wild foods festival down there. In fact, they deep fry stuff that really shouldn't be deep fried, but they do it anyway. And the indigenous folks of New Zealand, being the Maori, do today even still treat them as a delicacy.
One of the first things that I experienced when I came to the south of the United States is that there is a cuisine called soul food. And you don't want to ask what it is, you just try it.
I've heard about this, but I was too scared it might have been something from the bottom of my shoe.
You don't ask, you just eat.
Yeah, believe me. But having said that, I have been to the States. I've tried all sorts of weird and wonderful things, even gumbo. I have had some of that. So believe me, I've spent a couple of years in the United States, off and on, and got to know a few crazy traditions. I really, really have. Woken up in some strange places and didn't know why I got there in the first place, especially if I was in a sack at the time. Anyway, moving on. So, having said that, we'll take you down to the bottom of the South Island, a little boutique city town kind of thing. It's halfway between being a town and a city now. It's starting to expand. But some of the A-listers go there. It's Shania Twain owns a property there. Kevin Costner was down there not so long ago. Same with Tom Cruise. It's the kind of place where the A-listers take their friends to get away from everybody.
Oh, I got you.
You know what I mean? And I don't know, Barbara, we'll take them down there, throw them off a bridge. What do you reckon?
Only if he wants to. It's his choice.
Only if I want to.
No, his choice.
His choice.
Whether he wants to.
He gets a choice?
Yes.
When did that come into the contract? Usually it's you go first. Oh, yeah, okay, I'll go first, no worries. We have a thing here in New Zealand, my friend, called bungee jumping. And again, we will give you an instructional video on that, just to show you I'm not pulling your leg. But I got to ask you, have you heard of a Zorb?
I have not.
This is fun. This really is fun. Got to get juice for this one. You really do. You think the others are a bit crazy. Try this. This is a big clear plastic ball that will put you in. More the merrier, by the way, because believe me, by the time you get through this, it'll be probably in there with you anyway, and it's good to get out and get a hose. But we will roll you down a hill. This is human skittles. Literally, we'll have some people running in front of you. You can go and aim for them as much. Really expressionate people, you know. It's fun watching going over their faces. It really is. It's priceless.
Nice.
But we do that in Rotorua. Now, we are right now about an hour's drive, maybe less, from Rotorua right now, where we are as far as topography goes. Of course, Whakatane is not too far away from us. They're having a few dramas over there at the moment with White Island, which exploded just a few days ago, took a number of lives, and we're very, very sorry for the families and everybody concerned there. And then we have our biggest port, Tauranga, which is shipping a lot of our timbers and stuff, exporting that from New Zealand. And we're kind of in the middle of that, if you can get an idea of that. So Rotorua is basically a Maori traditionalist city. It's a tourist city where people come and take part and do Maori stuffs, if you know what I mean. We can show you places like, of course, Hell's Gate, which is very, very interesting, like going back in time. It really, really is. And you'd be familiar probably of the Yellowstone National Park sign, kind of the same thing.
Okay.
And of course, I'm not sure whether we have the terraces up yet. Have they restored the terraces?
No idea, Brian.
Okay. We used to have a thing here, one of the 7 wonders of the world, called the Pink Terraces, which went missing for a number of years, and they've been working at it. I think they're getting close now to opening it up again for public to be able to have a look at what it used to be. So we're trying to restore it to its former glory, if you know what I mean. So we might be able to take you there. But are you familiar with Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Right. Well, about an hour and a half's drive from where we are right now is actually Hobbiton, where they did the very start of the movie, Peter Jackson with the Little Hobbits and the Little Hobbitville. Well, Matamata is only about an hour and a half from there. We'll take you up there and have a look around. Absolutely fascinating. It really is.
Looks absolutely beautiful. Every documentary I've ever seen.
I tell you what, while we're down in the South Island, I'll take you through Marlborough Sound as well. Now, this is a place literally that time forgot. The only modern thing you can see down there, literally, my friend, if you're into a bit of nature and stuff like that, you might be able to see one of those floating palaces go through every now and again. Other than that, it really is the land of the dinosaurs down there. I know it is. Mum's been down there just recently. It's true. It really is. My mother was down there not so long ago. Yeah. Hunters took photos of her. They could have bagged her once upon a time, but now these days they take photos.
She had a beard.
Now, we spoke about Sorry You Feel That Way being the fastest song that you've written so far. But
Yeah,
hold
but-
on. Tell me about the X-Files. Now,
Exact opposite.
yeah,
Exact.
is the truth out there?
10 years. 10 minutes for one, 10 years for the other.
The truth is out there.
It is. Now, I will tell you how it relates to the X-Files at the end here. But the beginning of the story was, there was a story that came out of, I know it was in New York State, but I can't remember if it was actually New York City. And this goes back quite a few years. We're talking, it was like the early 2000s. There was a story where a couple of college kids had broken up, and the boy in the relationship had apparently he was mad because of the breakup, and he posted a online video. We'll call it revenge porn, and he got in trouble over it. But the problem was this was new. This was new technology. There weren't a lot of videos that were on the internet yet. And here's this guy, and he had put this video up of his ex. But the problem is he actually put her personal information on there, like her address and phone number and all that stuff. And so they ended up prosecuting him for what they called reckless endangerment. And I remember thinking, boy, that's an interesting story. It just was one of those signs of the times changing, that instead of climbing up to the highest building and painting something, my ex is a whatever, some kind of revenge that way. Now it's like, wow, you got this internet and the fact that people can do things with audio and video and all this other stuff, that times are really, really changing. And I wrote the first verse of the song, and the first verse of the song is that story. You listen to it, and you go, oh, he's talking about exactly what had happened in that story where the kid got in trouble. Now, it was a great first verse, and I had the chorus, but I didn't have anywhere to go with it. I'm like, okay, I've already told the whole story. I didn't have the second verse for the song. Well, fast forward to, just a couple of years ago, all of a sudden, I had another situation that had come up that was in my life, that it wasn't something that was on the news, but it was something that I, had personal experience with, that I kind of took some of what happened, and it became the second verse. So finally, I had the second verse of the song, and I'm going, okay, now I've got a song. Now there's a song here, and I was able to twist the lyrics and the story a little bit, so it still sounds like the same story. It changed some of the phrasing just to make it sound like it was still unresolved, and you get the second verse, and now it still sounds like the same story. But it was actually two different stories. Now, as far as the title of the song, I originally was calling it Naked on the Net, because it was about somebody that put somebody naked on the internet. And a couple of things hit me that people don't really call it the net anymore. They don't use the internet as the term anymore. It's kind of lost its cachet now, because so many people are doing things on mobile, and they're not really thinking. It's still the internet, but they don't really think of it that way, and it kind of became an old word that wasn't really going to be... it made the song sound old, which I didn't want it to do. I wanted it to sound relevant. Well, at the same time that I was working on this, the X-Files was just getting a revival back on TV after, its 20-year break. So I saw that, and I always loved the show, and I started thinking about X-Files. And then I went, wait a minute, the X-Files, and I changed X to EX, as in ex-girlfriend, ex-wife, whatever. And that was where the title came from. It wasn't related to the show in any way, other than when it came back on TV, I finally had a better title for the song, and I thought, well, it's a good play on words. You're talking about files being uploaded on the internet, so I went, okay, there's the title. So it didn't really relate to the X-Files anyway. Another side note, I met David Duchovny actually a year ago yesterday. And I actually asked him if he would do a voiceover leading into the song, and he declined. He said, I'm not allowed to really use the Fox Mulder character without permission. And he said, I realize you're not calling it the X-Files with the X, but he said, it just might open a door where somebody might get angry. And he said, I'm just going to decline. But I did ask him if he would do it, and he was very polite about it, and he said no.
Should have gone to Scully in the first place.
Yeah, that would have been very cool, but it didn't happen. So.
Yeah, absolutely, and wow, that really would have been really cool. It really, really is. Shame, absolute shame. Brilliant song. Check this out, The X-Files. Here's Jason Banks. How you feeling over there, Blifey?
Oh, yeah.
Oh dear.
Nothing.
Are you okay there, my bro?
We got our water going.
Nice. He's drinking water.
I'll run out of beer.
Well, hold on.
Go,
I
go,
can already-
It really is.
if I hold up this, will it look better?
Yeah.
Tequila?
Totally.
Bit of tequila, absolutely.
That's the I don't know if you can see that, but it's the Sammy Hagar brand of tequila.
Oh, wait.
Hey, hold on.
Bring it back.
When you post me stuff, can you slip that in the bag as well?
I actually got this from Sammy.
Wow.
Wow.
Back probably about 2002 or 3. This bottle's empty.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not full.
Yeah, this bottle's empty. But I actually got that from Sammy. He was doing a pair of solo shows in my hometown, and when I was working radio back then, we were interviewing him and made a couple of comments about his tequila, and he gave one of the other radio guys and myself a bottle each.
Awesome. You see, that's handy being able to do that live and in person. When I ask people to send me stuff, I get a lot of nods, but I don't get a lot through customs. and it's legal here. We can make our own, you know what I mean? All customs are worried about is their $20 tax. We don't mind paying that at all, you know what I mean? But
they have that problem here too. If you're trying to import, certain things you can bring back from Canada and Mexico, and then there's other things that you have to pay through the nose.
Yeah, I don't want to bring Mexican women back through the border, I'm sorry. I don't. I really don't. What am I supposed to say to that?
Carry on. Carry on.
No, look
Anyway,
at this pot.
our next one is, of course, The Devil Plays Guitar, my friend, and this really is my favourite Jason Mapes
Mine
song.
too. I like it. Yeah.
I really love this. And of course, we have to talk about Rudy and Bruce
Yes.
on this, if you know what I mean. So,
And Bruce's birthday too. Happy birthday.
exactly.
birthday.
We're going to talk about that as well. So let's go back to the desk. It's hiding.
Cheers.
Did you record that?
Yeah.
All of it.
Yes.
That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, 15 after 12 o'clock, 28 degrees. I want to believe, yes, I do too. Absolutely. And
Speaking of X-Files, right?
yeah, exactly. Wouldn't it be great to have Fox Mulder on that for sure? Friday, December 13th, and unfortunately, I don't know whether it's Lucky Friday or Bad Friday. It's not Black Friday, that's for sure. But Jason Mapes being the very, very last victim here at Galaxy 107 FM. I don't know whether he's feeling good about it or not, but we absolutely love Jason Mapes right here at Galaxy. Now, Jason, having said that we're a little crazy here, we do have a thing that we do here called the 5 questions from the 50 Shades of Grant, which really, you know, psychologists are trying to figure these things out. They really are. So let's kick this off. Now, having said that, are you familiar with Boris Johnson, the caretaker Prime Minister right now of the UK? Yes.
Sure.
The reason why I say that, basically, there's an election going on, so he is caretaker right now. Maybe not get back in again, you never know. So we're poised there. New Zealand's Prime Minister is Jacinda Ardern. We love her to bits, we really, really do. And we think basically she should be a Nobel Peace Prize winner, we really do, for the work that she's done so far with the many tragedies we've had here in New Zealand. Then there's Angela Merkel, who is the Chancellor of Germany, and Donald Trump. Which is the odd one out?
Oh, well, we know who the odd one out is on all of that.
Yeah. Basically, the first three are politicians. The other one's the colour of impeachment.
Nice. You know, the other New Zealand thing that lately that I remember in the news was I don't know who she is, and you might know this, but helped with the whole "Hey Boomer" thing.
Oh, okay. No.
Somebody in New Zealand Parliament that she made that reference to somebody else. She went, "Okay, Boomer." And,
yeah.
And and so that's viral over here. That they're like, hey, even over in New Zealand, they picked up this whole "Okay, Boomer" thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I do know who you're talking about, and believe me, she wouldn't appreciate me saying your name on air right now. She really wouldn't. But we know you very, very well. Yes, we do interviews with politicians as well. We do. We really do. We've had some very, very high-ranking politicians over the last number of years. So, yes, I know who you're talking about. Now, are you familiar with James Bond?
Absolutely. Love
Okay.
James Bond.
As they were doing the very latest movie, and James happened to break his ankle. He had to have 12 weeks off to be able to recuperate. While there was a bit of downtime, and of course they couldn't really afford it, the board and the owners got together and decided, next time round, let's have a female James Bond. To the world's disgrace, they really didn't want to have this because James is a guy, really, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the character is a character from literature.
Exactly.
It's not. Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be a guy. It really does.
I've come up with a new character. You don't have to replace James Bond. Just come up with a new spy that's very much like James Bond, and sure, of course she can be. I love movies that have diversity and things like that.
Exactly. Well, they even trained one, James Bond, if you remember right, with Remington Steele back in the day. They had him primed and he slipped right in there. But, as I say, James Bond was down for 12 weeks thinking about a female. The world didn't want to do that. So they've come to a compromise now. They're going to have a gay James Bond.
I don't believe you.
Huh?
Yeah, you know what they're going to call him? Ooh-7. It's true, they really, really are. Now, having said that, my friend, and there was a reference in there, of course, with New Zealand and everything like that. Right now, we're going through a couple of referendums here in New Zealand. The first one being, should we legalise marijuana for medical purposes or any other purpose? And the other one is, of course, euthanasia. Do we feel that it is the right time to be able to bring this into effect where people who may need to be able to make those decisions in sound mind and body, well, do you agree with euthanasia at all?
I think that death with dignity is an important thing. That's something that, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to make the calls for anybody else. I think it's something that has to be done, within a family unit with the person themselves. But you know what? I don't think we should subject somebody to suffering if they don't want to. That's. I got to say, I think that those are personal decisions, and I think that people need to stay out of them as a whole and as a government. It should be one of those that it should be up to the person.
Absolutely, but we need to be to have the premise to be able to address that, if you know what I mean, and that's what we're looking at today. I think that's a good thing, I really do. But me, myself, I want to pass away much like my grandfather did, in his sleep, unlike the passengers in his car that were screaming at the time. Oh dear. Now, are you familiar with vegan sausages?
I've actually had them, and I see them in the grocery stores. Different brands of them and things like that. Different sources. Some of them come from soy. Some of
Okay, so are they made of real vegans?
That I don't know. You have to go to those factories and check it out.
Yeah, I want to throw a few in the mincer, I really do. But having said that, at the same time, I mean, you could go down the same line with Girl Guide biscuits. Are they made of real Girl Guides? Or maybe Johnson & Johnson's baby oil, is it made of real babies? Tiger Balm is made of real tigers. You never know. You know, these are the optimal questions that we absolutely give people like you. Unfortunately, I'm sorry about that. But, you know, as I said, we're crazy here at Galaxy. Now, I want to talk to you about what I think is my favourite Jason Mapes song. And believe me, this was the one I heard in my car the first time round. Stopped the car, went back and said, we've got to do an interview with this guy. Hadn't heard anything else but this one song, and it sold me straight away. The Devil Plays Guitar. Now, I want to talk about Rudy Sarzo, and of course, Bruce, it's his birthday. Tell me about that.
Okay. Well, the song was written and inspired by being here in Nashville. There's a blues bar downtown that's called the Bourbon Street Blues and Boogie Bar. And even before I moved here, I was going to that bar when we were down here recording. I would go there, and a great blues club. It makes you feel like you're in New Orleans. It's got a real great blues vibe. They actually imported some of the iron and things that are on the railings and stuff that actually came from a bar in New Orleans. So it's real authentic in there. And there's a great blues player that used to be the house band. Now he just plays there maybe 2 or 3 times a month, but his name is Stacy Mitchard. And a phenomenal blues player, real a tribute to his roots. He loves to be that original sounding blues guy, and he definitely emulates that whole era and that sound. He even wore the zoot suits for a while. That he always had the hat and the whole look. Well, when I first saw Stacy play, Nashville is probably, I'm going to say, if it's not the biggest destination in the U.S. for bachelorette parties, it's got to be in the top 3. But we get a lot of women that come to town because I think they feel safer than Vegas. I think they feel like it's like a good town for them. So we get a lot of those girls' trips. And a lot of them, they're bachelorette parties or they're just girls' weekends or whatever. Well, at this show that he was playing, there was one of these bachelorette parties there. And he brought one of the girls up on stage, and he put the guitar in her lap, and he played it with his teeth, so it kind of certainly looked like he might have been doing something else. We'll leave it at that. And all I was thinking, though, is that these women seem like when they were at home, they're probably business owners or teachers or doctors or whatever, but when they're here in Nashville, they're cutting loose, and they're really enjoying this music. And it became that whole thing that's what the theme of the song is that the music is making her feel so good. It's taking her inhibitions away. And so I got that whole theme of the song came from that. Now, Rudy was the first person that I asked to be a guest on the CD. And he said yes right away. And, of course, if you don't know who Rudy Sarzo is, for anybody out there listening, if you don't know, Rudy was the bass player in Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz, and then he was playing with Whitesnake during their peak era, Here I Go Again, that whole era of time. Rudy was the bass player on those tours. He's currently playing with the Guess Who, but he's played with Ronnie James Dio and Blue Oyster Cult, and just a phenomenal resume. So for me to be playing songs with that guy in my CD, I just feel like something's wrong. Like, how did I get on that list? You know, I'm not sure how that happened. But he's also, I just love Rudy. He's one of those guys that makes you want to be a better person. You know, he's got that caring, giving heart. He's an advocate for animals, and I just love the guy. And when he got on board with the playing on the CD, it really opened up a lot of this other stuff, because when I talked to Bruce, when I asked Bruce to play guitar on this song, he asked me about the project, and when I told him Rudy was on it, I think that's when he went, okay, this is a serious project. You know, Rudy kind of gave it that clout. So him being there really opened a lot of those doors. And then as a big Kiss fan, not only was I a big Rudy Sarzo fan, but I'm a huge Kiss fan. And so to have a guy that played guitar in Kiss for, you know, that whole entire Unmasked era, that was Bruce. You know, pretty much for 98% of it was Bruce. And also just another great guy, phenomenal player. He knew exactly, when we were talking about the song and the feel of the song, he laid down exactly what I was picking. It was just one of those that it was so good. And then every time somebody was exposed to that song before it was released, whether it was the engineer in the studio or whether it was the guy that was editing the video, they're all going, "Boy, this is a great guitar. This thing is just it was just perfect." And so to have those guys on there, but my buddy Jonah, who played drums on 80% of the record, he just had the perfect drum that was a little bit of rock and it was a little bit of jazz and a little bit of swing, and it brought everything together. And it was just a great tribute to a great team effort to get that song to sound the way that it does. So,
I absolutely love it. It was the song that I heard. It was the song that made me decide I wanted to do this interview. And just before we get into it, just got to ask you, have you been to Mardi Gras in New Orleans night? Sorry. You have?
It's been a few years, but I have. Yeah, I've been there.
I was taken there by a number of people that lived there. They said, you got to get all of these beads and you got to throw them at the ladies. Well, you know what, ladies? You threw them back and went, no, I don't know what I was supposed to experience. I came home with all my beads. It's true, it really is true. Here, live at Galaxy 107 FM is Jason Mapes and what I think is arguably the best song so far with the title track off the album, The Devil Plays Guitar. So how's that so far, my friend?
Awesome.
Brilliant. So what we'll do is we'll wrap it up from here, but don't go anywhere just yet. We've got a couple of other things we do.
That'll be crazy in a minute.
For everybody that's been joining us here at Galaxy 107 FM, hang in there just yet, and we'll say goodbye to Jason Mapes. And of course, don't forget, he is our last interview for 2019. I'm very sad about that because I think, it's almost all over.
Oh, you're going to miss me.
I'm going to miss everybody.
It's the last one of the decade.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It really is. We make a whole new decade next month. It really is. So, I'm very honoured, Jason, that you've taken the time to join us. It really is a wonderful way to end our year.
It's all my pleasure, my honor to do it. I love the opportunity to have fun, talk about music,
and get to see how crazy us Kiwis are down here in New Zealand.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I see you. You watching me, watching you, watching me. I can see that. Yeah.
Keep an eye on me.
Keep him. You're like Darth Vader with that wandy thing. You are. She's still dangerous. Look, watch out. She's coming around again. So.
Just make the noise though when she does it. Do you hear a?
Well, actually, I thought that was the chair squeaking, but okay. Exactly.
He's got a Batman necklace too.
Is it a Batman thing, or is it actually something that's the makeup from Gene Stanley?
I don't know.
Gene Simmons, sorry. I've been trying to decide that all the way through. That is the Batman symbol, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I couldn't remember what I was at. Yeah, the Batman symbol there. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Nice.
thought so.
Mine's just basically a simple guitar pick and something gold.
I've got so many of them. I wasn't even sure what I put on today. It was like,
Oh, you're like Barbara.
I've got a Superman one. I'm a comic book guy. So
Nice.
I've got the Superman, Spider-Man, Batman. I've got all this ones. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, actually,
We know a comic shop
we'll
in,
have to put him in touch with Paul Worley.
Yeah.
We'll put you in touch with Paul Worley. Now, just before we finish this up, we have a sister company in Jacksonville, Florida. They are Jacksonville Late
Oh, hi,
Night
Tim.
Television. Would you mind if we passed everything over to them as well? Because believe me, they love to be able to cut my interviews to pieces and play the music, all that sort of stuff. Would you mind if we passed it on?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It'll be next year though.
Being in Nashville, do you know a guy called Steve Baker?
The name does not ring a bell.
No, he's
Okay.
more country
But,
American.
yeah.
He wouldn't be into rock.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know a few people in the country scene, but not a lot. Not
Right.
a lot. I actually did produce a country record. One of the first records that I produced when I moved down here was a country record. It definitely had more of a rock vibe to it, but there were a couple of real pure country sounding things.
Sure, sure, I understand that. The reason why I said Steve Baker is that he has his finger in all the pies as far as videos and that goes, and usually the hard rock cafes, the floating palaces, the malls, the Burger Kings, places like that. If you would like us to pass that information, Barbara says probably not the kind of flavour of music that he likes, but you never know, he might want to pick up on it anyway.
Every genre and promote it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think out of the box. Yeah, absolutely. So we'll pass that information over to him as well. And we'll do a quick video for, of course, Jacksonville Late Night Television as well, so that we can pass that into them. And don't be surprised if Frank Moomer or one of his crew gets in touch with you. And you never know, he may want you to come into the studios and do something live, something like that.
Sure.
Oh, by the way, 60,000 people a night watch their shows, apparently.
Nice.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
That's a good sized city.
Exactly, it is. Let's go back to the desk.
Okay.
Okay. That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, 29 degrees, Barbara, you win. I concede. And it is 26 away from 1 o'clock right now. And joined by Jason Mapes coming out of Nashville, and it has been an absolute pleasure talking to Jason this morning about his music and absolutely loving every bit of it. I really, really am. Unfortunately, it comes to the end of the show, and of course, the end of a decade actually for this decade. We start a new decade next year, and so Jason, I got to thank you so humbly for being the last interviewee for 2019.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, my honor to wrap up your year and decade.
Yeah, it kind of feels a bit weird now. I'm sort of thinking, now what am I going to do?
I feel like confetti should be falling or something.
Me too, anticlimax, I got to admit, but that's going to come later on after work.
We'll put it in the after effects. We'll put it in the video afterwards, just some...
There's a good idea, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I do want to point out that we did film a video for that song for the Devil Plays Guitar, and it's on YouTube, but you can also get it at my website at jasonmapes.com. You can watch it there with Bruce and Rudy are both in the video.
Yes, I know the video. I've seen it myself, actually, so believe me, I'm absolutely loving it. That's why I kind of asked if we could pass this on to Jacksonville Late Night Television, because believe me, I'm sure that they will be very interested in playing your music. And believe me, I'd be very honoured to be able to pass that on. But, Jason, it has come to that time. I'm going to have to switch over to another studio right now. They're sitting there going, you've gone over time. I realise that because, believe me, I'm making the most of it for the last time this year. So, Jason, thank you so much for joining us. Now, I've got to ask you, will you come back again?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me, and thanks to everybody for tuning in.
Absolutely. Brilliant to have you, my friend. Looking forward to all your new stuff. If you feel like you want to release something with us, we would be honoured to be able to do that. We would be honoured to be able to do some giveaways and all that sort of stuff. If you want to send us stuff, swag, please do so. We'd greedily accept everything because we want to be able to keep Jason Mapes rolling here at Galaxy. Having said that, though, how would you like to do a couple of voiceovers for us, a couple of stingers, and we'll play them on the radio as well?
I can do that for you as well.
I kind of figured you might, seeing you're not too far away from the studio.
Exactly.
And I see a perfectly good microphone there in the background. So, yeah, I'll get Barbara to give you all the details of where to send that. But we do encourage people to make those stingers their own. If we give you the lines and everything, believe me, they all end up being the same.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, and you're listening to...
Yeah, exactly. Boring. Yeah. Own it. Do something that's original. Be yourself, if you know what I mean, and make it a little bit of Jason Mapes here at Galaxy. We would love to be able to do that. But Jason, we are going to have to move on right now, and I got to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Have a safe festives for yourself and your family, won't you?
Thank you, and same to you and everybody out there listening.
Jason, don't go anywhere just yet. We will continue on very, very shortly. But in the meantime, right here at Galaxy, here's Dido, Sand in My Shoes.